Take of the week. Nick's take was that, and tell me if I'm paraphrasing this correctly.
Sure.
The toll of the Lions' tough losses are starting to mount, and it will affect this season. True or false?
True.
Well, David Montgomery agrees.
Classic one.
Yeah. And I'll take all the unders on the Lions.
Oof. What is their over-under set at?
I think it's 10.5.
You're taking under 10.5?
Yeah.
10 wins?
I mean, if it's so he's talking about smartly, correctly, the ephemeral reasons they might take a step back. Here's real football reasons, though. They lost both coordinators. Every year when a team gets off to a slow start, Coach Mangini comes on. He's like, well, you know, coaching does matter. They did lose both coordinators. I'm baking that in to start with. Also, when you say Detroit Lions, maybe not the first thing you think of as far as this era, but one of the first things you think of is a mauling offensive line. This ESPN article that has them rated with like a top 5, the one we just talked about, top 5 overall roster, it says their biggest concern is the offensive line. That guard, center, guard, because they had Zeitler leaving free agency, Ragnow retire, their weakest link guard now has to play center, and their 2 guards right now are going to be a rookie they drafted in round 2 and a 6th rounder from last year. And I am here to tell you that if we know anything about Jared Goff, it is if you can get pressure on him, particularly up the middle, his lack of creativity and lack of ability to improvise is when he can become bad Jared Goff. He has been great Jared Goff, and you deserve credit for calling it out. He deserves credit for it with the Lions. But of all the things on the Lions offense that I would say is most likely to crack what was the number 1 offense in the league last year, it would be if that offensive line goes from great to average, which I fear it may have. And I don't know that the defense is going to all of a sudden, without Aaron Glenn, even with Hutchinson coming back from the injury.
And a lot of people back.
A lot of guys coming back from injury. I don't know the defense is going to be great. And so I think they're an incredibly tough division. They have an incredibly tough schedule. And so I think, I'm not saying they're flat out missed the playoffs, but I think they could. But I don't think they are top fringe NFC contenders.
I think you are sorely underestimating the Lions. And it's weird, and they're admitting it, that this is the year of reckoning. This is 2 years of being good. All right?
But it's
the
two
Bills,
heartbreaking losses.
Right.
Yeah.
It's ended horribly in the playoffs. Great regular seasons. Last year, phenomenal regular season.
Yep.
And then horrible playoff endings. So I get it. But Buffalo is 5 years removed. So the last 5 years, Buffalo got to that AFC Championship game where they lost heartbreaking fashion to the Chiefs. And every year they've been very good and come up short. Baltimore is 6 years from when they won 14 games, when Lamar won his first MVP, and they haven't been able to get over the hump. I'm saying there are other teams. Now, I'm agreeing that it feels like Detroit is like, they got to get over the hump this year. But there are other teams that have been close. Like Montgomery says, you don't want to keep being close. Several teams have been closer for a longer period, and we don't look at them as, man, if they don't win it this year, they are going to fall apart. There's supernatural funk incoming.
I want to make it clear, though. I'm not saying that I think, like, the Lions their period of contention is over as a whole. I'm just saying I don't see it happening this year. I think that they take a step back this year, not that you then.
But
you know
think
what I mean?
about those teams I mentioned, Buffalo and Baltimore. They haven't really taken a step back.
Yeah, but
they got better quarterbacks. I think some of it is Dan Campbell is such a his personality. People think, oh, that's not going to last. He did say it himself right after the loss 2 years ago, like, you may never get to a Super Bowl. We blew it. So maybe that has heightened the sense of urgency. But I agree that the urgency is there, but I'm wondering why it feels so much with them and not so much with some of these other
Look at this graphic, though, Brew. Tell me if it convinces you, because Josh drew this up, and I was like, oof, this doesn't look good at all. Last 10 years after losing the divisional round as the #1 seed, we'll start with the Cowboys. They went Their next year, they went 9-7, missed the playoffs. The 20 Ravens next year went 11-5, and they lost in the divisional round. The Titans went 7-10 and missed the playoffs. The Packers went 8-9 with Aaron and missed the playoffs. And then it's this year's Lions. So just in the last 10 years, it's setting up to look disappointing.
It also speaks to.
That's a good graphic.
Leave this on here real quick. It also speaks to how incredibly rare that Lions loss was.
That's what I was
So the
shocked by.
2016 Cowboys had a rookie Dak Prescott playing quarterback, and by the way, played great in that game. That was Aaron Rodgers' classic game. The 2019 Ravens had rookie, not rookie, but first full year as a starter, Lamar playing quarterback. The 2021 Titans had Ryan Tannehill playing quarterback.
It was like an overachieving Vrabel squad.
And then the Packers loss was shocking, but that was also a game in the snow. They lost by a field goal. The Lions just got stone clocked. You know what I mean? In their game with that basically from start to finish. And this is the other reason, Brew, I worry about them. Can we throw up the Lions schedule? Because you feel like they need a great start. And I say 0-3 is on the board. And going into the bye, 3-4 would not be. Again, I'm not picking 0-3, but their first 7 games for a team last year that lost what? They had one loss through 15 weeks or something. Weren't they 14-1 or something crazy? 13-1.
Just to dig into that, the Packers, the Packers can go either way.
Yeah.
You're in Green Bay to open the season.
That Bears game.
If you lose
Packers
against Ben Johnson in your building, it's going to feel like some of the magic came off.
Yeah.
And don't you think Ben?
And then you're going to Baltimore?
Here's what they're
that's what I'm
banking
saying.
on, though.
That-
Here's what they're banking on. We won 15 games last year with half of our defense injured.
Yep.
And I get it, Aaron Glenn is gone. But I think Dan Campbell, as good as Glenn and Johnson were, Dan Campbell is the one that revitalized that franchise. Period.
Yes,
And
no,
so
that part's true.
I'm not counting on a fall off. I think it's going to be tough because the division is monstrous and, like you said, their schedule. But they're banking on we're going to be healthy defensive. Aiden Hutchinson is obviously one of the best defenders in the league.
Yep.
So that's what they're banking on and why they won't fall.
No, that's fair. And they have the quarterback they believe in and the head coach who is their culture setter, and so that should guarantee them a floor. It still is uneasy times, in my opinion.
Head to Philadelphia, where the Eagles received their championship rings. Now, the ring features, get this, Brew, 40 diamonds for the 40 points they scored against the Chiefs. 5 diamonds on the special feature button for the 5 players who scored touchdowns against the Chiefs, and 0.9 carats in the wings for the 6 sacks of Patrick Mahomes, plus the 3 turnovers against the
That's
Chiefs.
some serious trouble.
Now, there is no reports on whether it's waterproof when the Chiefs came alive in the Super Bowl when Sirianni was covered in Gatorade. Brew, we'll start with you. What is the number one key?
Does that count for our NFL footage, Alana?
Yes.
So we could show on this show more awesome highlights.
What'd you say?
But you want this so
We don't know
badly.
we don't know
that
if
we
it's
keep
waterproof.
Showing that. Okay.
We don't know if it's
Go ahead.
waterproof. This is
Sorry.
That's
this
when
is
the
a-
game turned.
I view this as a Chiefs highlight.
That's when the
Who's
game turned. And the
Miles
Chiefs
is back
started,
there.
woke up.
Philly, and he's never down here.
Miles is back there laughing. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What is the number one key to an Eagles repeat?
Well, it is their attitude. Like, the defense has to remain elite. Last year, they went from one of the worst in the league to one of the best under Vic Fangio. So they have to continue, and I think they will because they have a lot of young guys that are going to get better. But really, it's the attitude. It's keeping the team goals front and center.
Correct.
And look, I've said it, and I don't really get mad at receivers for this. A.J. Brown has his Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
Right?
It's 40 diamonds for the 40 points they scored against. Jeez, it's beautiful.
He's got his money. I gotta be honest, I want to win, of course. I want to win a Super Bowl.
Wanna make the
But
Hall
if
of
I'm
Fame.
A.J. Brown, yeah, I want to put up numbers. I'm one of the best receivers in the league. I want numbers. And Devontae Smith, same thing to a lesser degree. He's a different personality, but I'm sure inside he wants his big numbers too. So, what?
I don't know. I saw he's got a whole championship ring case.
It's
He's got an
great.
Alabama ring. He's got. I don't know where he got all the rings from.
It's different for in most positions. Quarterback is the one we measure by rings. Receiver, Randy Moss doesn't have a ring. Does anybody knock him for that? No. And he was on one of the greatest teams ever and didn't get it done. So that's the thing. If A.J. Brown and because of him, Devontae Smith goes along and they start chirping that we want to throw the ball more, I should be one of the best statistical receivers in the league, that's when things could get a little
so I kind of disagree with you because I actually think the offense, in order for them to repeat, I actually think the offense will have to be better. Because I don't think it is likely that they were basically best, second best, or third best defense in everything last year. You know what I mean? They were, you look at it, it's first, second, third. And I agree with you, Brew. Jalen Carter is a great player. He's young. And the two rookies from last year, one of whom had the pick six in the Super Bowl, and he's probably the lesser of the two rookies, in Cooper DeJean. Those guys are going to be, better than they were last year and, and really impactful. They lost a ton of personnel on defense. You know what I mean? They lost, I can't even name all, but Milton Williams, multiple guys in the secondary. I know they kept Bond, the linebacker that was, a great pickup by Fangio. But my point is this. I think with the tougher schedule, them having the second biggest bullseye on their back of every team in the league, I still think the biggest is kind of Kansas City, actually.
You think so?
Yeah, I think
Probably.
Kansas City is still the team.
They still have the mystique.
Yeah, the mystique that other team.
I wonder if Philly beats the Chiefs week 2, if that
then maybe
flips.
sure, maybe it
like,
could.
ooh, they're
but
the new team,
so either the
even though they
biggest
are
or the
champs.
second biggest bullseye,
Sure.
and natural defensive year-to-year regression. I think in order for them to repeat, they're going to have to do the things you're saying they've got to be careful about not doing. They had the 29th passing offense in the league last year. I'm not trying to start an argument, you know what I mean, using that as a knock. I don't think you can win back-to-back Super Bowls like that in the modern era. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to be, and I think it's fair to say Saquon probably isn't going to have another 2,000. You know what I mean? They're going to have to find offense elsewhere.
But I don't think it's like air it out time.
No, I'm just saying I think the offense will have to be. They had the number 9 offense in football last year. I think it'll have to be a little better.
Before we go, Dust, can we put up the Jalen Hurts graphic? Jalen's getting another new OC, Kevin McCullough. He has been the passing game coordinator. He came with Sirianni from the Colts. So, look, whether you think this Jalen's passer rating fluctuates because of the OC or it's just a supernatural funk there with Brian Johnson, but Brian Johnson did leave. Kellen Moore took over the Saints, and Jalen was good in Super Bowl MVP. How is this offense going to look now that you have someone else calling the plays? And is Jalen, one of the things about Jalen was he got better every year. He certainly wins more every year. But is he actually going to add new things to his game?
Well, he hasn't gotten better every year.
Well, he's got since Alabama.
No, but I'm saying he had, and then he almost won.
The little dip, supernatural funk.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry.
I should have put an asterisk. I don't count stuff from the supernatural funk.
Okay, my bad.
Really?
He just throws it out.
He was in a supernatural funk. What are you going to do?
But I think Danny had this fact, like this will be Jalen's, it's like
he has a new
offensive
OC every
coordinator
year,
in the last 9 years of his football career.
Yes.
That's why I think
going
he'll
back
be
to
fine.
high school.
Yeah, it was high school to college to switching colleges to every year.
He'll adjust.
Yeah, so maybe he's good.